What's up and welcome to Talkin Yanks Sharp Stats Edition. Time to do some math and get some smarts and up your knowledge. I'm Jimmy. This is Jake. Katie Sharp, the Queen of Stats, joins us as always. We got some fun topics today. We're going to be talking about a James Paxton update because obviously that's part of the show. What the hell is Holder doing? Why does his stuff actually look like stuff this year, unlike other years? We got Voigt. Is this the real Voigt? Is this the old Voigt? Is this a new version of Voigt? We don't know. And what the hell's going on with Gary? And Seals arresting humans update will be on this episode as well. But first, Katie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. I am fired up. I had a good day off. I'm recharged, I think, from the weekend and ready to watch some baseball.
Yes, that's
ready to talk some baseball too. We
with the Yankees off day and just getting lost in the sauce at work. Me and Jimmy, just when we did the pregame show, we were like, "Oh wow, we're gonna watch Yankees baseball. That's exciting."
I hadn't thought about it at all.
Sit on the couch and get serenaded by Michael Kay, Paul O'Neill from a basement in Ohio, and David Cohn probably. So, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, Jonathan Holder gets into sharp stats this early in the season. Times are good. I would have lost that bet and would have thought we were talking about very opposite things. But I think we do, and this is becoming a sharp stats tradition, which I'm kind of liking, is the follow-up from the week before. And one of the big combos last week was James Paxton. Paxton defied all of the odds and probably lost people in Vegas a lot of money. He twirls an absolute gem. It gets ruined at the end, but that's okay. James Paxton, he looked great. Katie, we kept checking between the Yes Network miles per hour and the ESPN miles per hour to see if things were lining up. Give us everything on the Paxton start.
All right. Well, first, before I start with Paxton, I do want to just remind you guys, I do have a stat of the week, too. I didn't tell you that in the
Katie
intro,
Sharp stat of the week.
I do have a stat of the week, so let's save that for the end. It's a part stat of the week, part trivia question. So you guys get to participate in this one. Full participation from the peanut gallery. All right, so let's get to Paxton. So obviously, he was if anybody who watched the game saw that he looked much better than he had in his first two starts. And if you were also watching the game, you did see the radar gun, and the numbers were not, very excellent. They were promising, I would say. So StatCast says that he had a 92.3 mile per hour average on his fastball and a max of 93.9. So obviously that is below what he was doing last year, but it is up from his previous start, which I think kind of was a bottom out. The start that he had on, it was August 7th when he didn't even hit 90, or August 2nd.
93.9 was the peak? So
93.9, yeah, so basically 94. And he hit that multiple times. That's kind of the thing that I really want to emphasize, is that he hit in the 93s like multiple times. And in fact, like 6 of his 8 fastest pitches thrown this season were on Saturday. So in his most recent start. So I think that that's some encouraging news, even though the average, when you look at the average, 92.3, 93.4, 92.4, whatever, it doesn't sound good, but you could see that, he was kind of pumping in the 93s a lot there. And the other thing that I noticed was that his spin rate was up. So it had kind of bottomed out, like I said, on the August 2nd start, where it was at about 2,100 revolutions, whereas last year he was at about 2,260. So that's a pretty significant drop, about 150 revolutions per minute. And on Sunday, he was Saturday, Sunday, whatever day it was, Sunday, he was back up to 2,246 revolutions per minute. So basically where he was last year. The spin rate on his fastball, which is encouraging. I mean, it's not by any means a high spin fastball. But one thing it is it does have high spin efficiency. And I think we may have talked about this on a podcast earlier, but really the most important thing when you're looking at spin for a pitcher is actually the spin efficiency, like how much spin actually occurs. And it's called active spin. And
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
You said his spin rate was the same as last year in the start?
Yes.
Oh, okay. There
Yes,
goes my
it
theory
was-
that Cole gave him the special pine tar.
No, because it was way below his last year in his previous starts. So he may have given him some pine tar. No, but the thing is, I'll get to my next stat here. The active spin, the spin efficiency I was talking about, that is actually up this year. He was at about 90% spin efficiency last year, which is pretty good. It's, maybe top 30%, it's above average. But this year it's up to 95.6%, which is actually very good. I think it's top 15 in the league right now. And then you've got like a Garrett Cole who actually has 100% spin efficiency on his fastball this year,
Jeez.
which probably not going to last. But that's obviously the goal. So being up there at 95.6 for Paxton is actually really encouraging in terms of kind of the spin and the movement and the, like as David Cohn likes to say, the life on the pitch. So maybe there is some sort of pine tar, like little shenanigans going on with him and Cole, which is fine. Everybody does it.
Everybody does. It's the Bullfrog sunscreen.
Yeah,
They spray it onto this arm, and then they mix it with the rosin, and they do a little grip like this, a little touch like this. They all do it.
Yeah, it's kind of a given right now, and it's actually, I think some of the batters actually kind of maybe prefer it because it does give the pitcher a better grip, obviously, and so there's less chance of getting drilled in the head unless it's intentional. But so overall, yeah, I think Paxton looked much better, even though his fastball, velocity is not where it was last year. He was being effective with his fastball. The command actually was really impressive, I think, in hitting the upper part of the zone. And that was reflected in kind of the contact that the Rays made on his fastball, where I looked at the launch angle on his fastball, and it was a 31-degree launch angle on the fastball in this start, which is pretty good considering it was an average of 15 degrees in his first two starts, which is basically like a line drive every single time. Whereas an average of 31 degrees is, more like a fly ball kind of thing. So, yeah, really encouraging. His release point, his vertical release point was still all over the place. It's not up to last year. So I don't know what's going on with that, but something worked, and I think he just needs to build on that, and hopefully going forward.
Yeah. The good news is that the spin stuff isn't like an anomaly from last year. Like it's kind of like when he was good, it's there. Its spin efficiency is much better, but fingers crossed that he can continue.
And I mean, in theory, like the fastball went up, which you'd like to think he's kind of regaining that back strength. Like he says he's not hurt, but I mean, it seems very apparent that he's not as strong, whether that is the back or the rest of it building up. I mean, the fact that he was getting near 94, if we can keep trending upwards, that would make sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the progress he made from his last start to this start is encouraging, and I think that's what you have to really look at.
And it was funny. I mean, even in that first inning or first two innings, I think his strikeouts were coming on fastballs, and you could see they did have life on him, and it was, I mean, very much a big change from, I think hitters were hitting like 500 off of him the first two starts or something like that. So hopefully we can keep building up and see some of that Paxton, because that we need it.
We need it. Let's stay on pitchers here. Last episode, Jake and I ran into this, and I was trying to do what I can find with my little research, baseballsavant.com, to see what's going on with Holder. He's been used a lot. And basically what my eyes are telling me, Katie, is that his changeup and his slider are breaking way more than they used to. And it looks like Holder actually has stuff, which for 3 years I've been saying, I don't know how Holder does it. I don't think he's got a plus pitch. Are my eyes deceiving me? Has anything changed? What's going on with Jonathan Holder? He's been good so far.
Yeah, well, he's been fantastic, actually. And if you look at his stats, and his expected stats on Statcast, the ones that include launch angle, exit velocity, those types of things, are actually matching his actual stats. So in terms of the slugging and the batting average against, so it's for real right now. And he's basically just, he hasn't had anybody hit a barrel against him. And barrel, as you know, as I think I've mentioned before on the podcast, is kind of like the best combination of launch angle and exit velocity. It, usually almost always results in a hit. A lot of times it's an extra base hit. So he has had 19 batted balls against him and 0 barrels.
That's good.
So yeah, that's excellent. He actually obviously has not given up a home run yet, which is very good. And hopefully we don't jinx that. But yeah, back to the pitches. So there is something really interesting going on that I don't really know much about. I'd probably have to do more research on this. But it seems like he's throwing a little bit fewer four-seamers, and he's throwing a lot more changeups. So he's basically doubled his changeup usage and halved his slider usage. So gone away from the slider. But the interesting thing about the slider is that it almost looks like a curveball, which he used to throw when he first came up.
Sweeping.
Yeah. So it's gone down about 3 miles per hour, and it's got like a lot more horizontal break. So yeah, like a lot more sweep. So it almost looks like his curveball in 2017 if you kind of just look at the raw numbers. So it's possible that he's just throwing this curveball and the classification systems have not picked up on it yet. I don't know. It'd be something interesting for one of the reporters if they ever get a chance to kind of ask him about, because the slider he hasn't. Yeah. So it's basically it's a 77 miles per hour, which is about 3 ticks down from what his slider was last year, and it's got a lot more depth too. So almost that shape of a curveball with the almost a 12-6. But yeah, it's just the changeup has, and what he's basically done is he's to lefties. It's just fastball changeup, fastball changeup, fastball changeup. He has not. Last year, he incorporated sliders and cutters a lot to lefties, but he hasn't done that. And so I think it's interesting. So I don't know I don't know what he's doing, but it is working. I think that if he can kind of just have that conviction and just kind of keep his pitch mix good, I think that he's looking good so far.
Does it seem like almost maybe and this is where my brain always jumps to, but a KISS approach, a keep it simple stupid, like Matt Blake came in and said, hey, 2017, you had a curveball slider type pitch that worked. Let's use that against lefties. Let's go fastball changeup. It worked for that Canely guy. I mean, do you think it could be that simple?
I mean, yes, and I think he has a good mix of pitches that kind of break in different directions and come out of the same release point. So yeah, I think that the simpler that he can keep it, because I always thought that he's never going to be a starter, so it never made sense for him to have those 5 pitches when none of them were plus, right? That was one of the things maybe even we talked about it on the podcast last year or what, but I always thought that him with 5 pitches never made sense because none of them were plus. I'd rather have him have 2 or 3 pitches where one of them is plus and maybe the others stink, but just to have that strikeout pitch, that put away pitch that he can use is really, I think that's the most important thing for a reliever.
Is his changeup a plus pitch right now? It seems really good so far.
Basically what it is he's gotten less spin on the changeup, which is actually a good thing, because with the changeup you want it to have less spin, which gives it to contrast with the fastball, and also that makes it gives it more ground balls. So when you have a lower spin pitch, that allows him to get ground balls, and his ground ball rate is up about to 50%, which is really high for him. I think it's actually 58%, and his career average ground ball rate is 37%. So I think that's definitely a good approach to have. But he's also getting whiffs on it. He's got a 37% swing and miss percentage on the changeup as well. So to be able to get whiffs and ground balls with that pitch, I think you have to say it's a plus pitch right now.
It looks good to me, and that's what I'm saying. I've never watched him and said, wow, Holder is fun to watch, stuff-wise. So hopefully he keeps up. Him not having a ball barreled on him so far is pretty cool.
It's pretty impressive. He's, what's he up to, 6.2 innings, something like that?
Yeah, I think it's 6.2.
And there was one slider that, I mean, me and Jim both turned our head at each other. It was out of the zone. It wasn't a good pitch, but it had an awesome shape to it. So
him going to like a slurve makes sense.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it looks like.
I think that's kind of what it is right now. It's just in between there, and hitters really don't. The best thing is hitters don't really know what it is. That's
true.
And that's Katie, the 5-pitch mix. You're right. I mean, you just don't see that from relievers. So I don't know. Keeping it simple. I mean, his fastball, it sits 92, 93-ish, I feel like. And when he's right, he does have good location with it. And I think, we're just kind of seeing that. I don't know if it's the X-axis stuff or whatever it calls, but that have the changeup go away, have the slider go the other way, and make it work. Yeah. And so far it is. So I'm in.
I'm in, too.
We need bullpen innings.
Well, that's some good news about Holder. Let's transition to some bad news.
Yeah, let's rip the Band-Aid.
Gary's been awful at the plate, Katie. We talked about how his framing's been better. And we just talked about how it's elementary and it looks bad, but it has been better. His at-bats have looked awful. How bad are they truly? Is he completely lost?
He's a little lost. I don't want to ever say that a professional baseball player is truly lost. So I'm going to give him some benefit of the doubt. But right now it's not looking good. And, I mentioned the expected stats with some of the other people, and his expected stats are the same as his actual stats. You look at his batting average, his expected batting average is 102. His expected slugging is 199. And his expected WOBA is 202. And those are basically the same as his actual ones, and those are all, as you probably know, are far, far below league average and far, far below what he should be doing. To me, it seems like what he's doing is he's not hitting the ball squarely, and his maybe it's his mechanics, or maybe he's just not seeing the ball, but there's a stat on StatCast called sweet spot percentage, which is basically just the percentage of batted balls that you have that are between launch angles of 8 degrees and 32 degrees, which is assumed to be the optimal range to get a hit. So it is down about 10 percentage points from 33% last year to 23% this year, which is below average, below what his career is. So that tells me that he's not hitting the ball. And his barrel percentage, we mentioned the barrels with Holder. His barrel percentage is down from 19% last year to 6% this year, which is the major league average is 6%. But this Gary should be up there in the 14s, the 15s, the 16 percentage points for barrels. And he's not hitting it. He's just not making solid contact. And if you look at, he's hitting the ball, he's hitting under the ball a lot. 47% of his batted balls have been classified as hit under by StatCast, compared to basically the major league average is 24%. So almost more than double the major league average. And the other thing that really stood out to me is that he is just swinging right through pitches in the zone, right in the heart of the zone, which a guy like Gary should be able to take advantage of those pitches in the heart of the zone. His zone contact percentage was 80% last year, which is about the major league average. It's down to 67% this year. That's contact on pitches that are thrown right in the strike zone. So I think what you're seeing is a guy who I don't know if he's lost at the plate or his mechanics are messed up, but he's not making solid contact and he's not hitting the pitches he should be hitting.
That's bad.
Yeah.
And that's usually the opposite of Gary. Usually, like when he's going through a slide, you can at least say, well, he's squaring the ball up, he's just hitting into bad luck.
Or he's just chasing junk. I mean, that's what you said at the end is the scary part, that he's missing the stuff that's there for him, and that's never been Gary's problem.
Yeah, I mean, his chase percentage is not really changed much. It's just that he's actually been a lot more patient. I don't know if it's patient, but just less aggressive this year, especially with two strikes. This was a really revealing stat, I thought. So with 2 strikes, pitches in the zone on 2 strikes, and sort of around the edges, 86% swing percentage last year. This year, 69%. So, and that's the league average is about 81%, which you would think, if you see a pitch in the zone with 2 strikes, you're going to want to swing at it, and he's just not. So, that to me seems like a pitch recognition issue, and I don't know
just lack of confidence.
Lack of confidence, something like that. But yeah, he's not in a good place right now.
Hitting coach Marcus Tim / Jomboy, what's your diagnosis? Just swing yourself out of it, find something in the zone and go.
I feel like that. I feel like all those stats just show complete lost. Like, because when when usually Gary's hitting into bad luck and chasing, and if he's still striking out a ton, but he's not swinging. So it seems like a confidence thing to me. I have no idea.
Yeah.
In the last 4 games, he has a .333 on base percentage. He has 3 walks and 2 hits. Is anything else getting better? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't doing that. I don't know. That's bad news. I mean, we know it's as bad as the eye test is. He looks lost right now. So hopefully that the hard foul ball yesterday.
Hard foul ball indicator. That's that's been our rule with Gary. Hope it pays off. But yeah, it's been tough to watch, and it's dumb baseball stuff. But I keep saying they're looking for that broken bat single. Glaber got a couple nice inside-out singles, and we're hoping that sparks some. Gary,
that's
Gary
not
almost
his game though. That's not his game.
Know what he needs, KT? He needs the power hitter slump breaker where you just hit like a 480-foot homer. That's like, okay, now it's on.
I can do this.
Now it's on. I'm coming. So watch for Gary to hit a giant homer.
I think
what he needs is, I was going to say, I think what he needs is some guy to just be throwing gas like 96, 97, and him to kind of just swing from his heels and just make it. He just hits it, and just because it's going so fast and his bat is going fast enough, it just kind of goes out of the park, that type of thing.
Don't think.
But I don't know. He's got to swing first.
I think to the casual viewer, everyday watcher, I think if they saw Gary go up there and just take giant hacks and strike out, they'd be even more upset.
Yeah.
But I'm almost rooting for him just to swing after hearing this and hopefully connect with one that rather than be taking strike 3 all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
not
check
swinging
this
at
stat
2
out.
strike pitches.
This is one stat I'm looking at right now is on StatCast. They have a stat called Meatball Percentage, and it's basically the percentage of pitches that are thrown just meatball, like right down the middle, and his swing percentage on those pitches is 52%, whereas the league average is 75%. So that's kind of mind-boggling to me.
All
that's
right,
the type of pitch he
swing,
should be
Gary,
swinging from his heels.
Swing at meatballs, Gary. The Storielli family meatball percentage is about 90%. It is high.
Yeah.
What about the meatball efficiency? How's that going?
Oh, it's efficient, Katie.
Yeah.
It's efficient.
I mean, Jake was born a meatball.
Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah. I was going to say some comments that I think my mom would be offended by, so I will back off. Something about me eating meatballs like a little horse. So she'd actually probably like the comments. Anyways, enough meatballs. I think enough Gary. I think everyone that watching has obviously known it's not right. When you look at the stats, it's not right. And, hey, we're in this 16-game thing. The best thing you can do is be patient as you can and think, the other options. Yeah. Like you won't find bigger Kyle Higashioka fans than us. He's an awesome dude. He's a nice ball player, but I think he'll admit he can't do what Gary Sanchez does on a baseball field. Eric Kratz will be happy to admit to you he can't do what Gary Sanchez can do on a baseball field. So it's 13 games, and in your head, try to think of it as like a 2-week slump during a regular season. Unfortunately, it's not a regular season. Let's get a hot 2 weeks. Let's get a hot month and a half out of Gary, and he could still have a great year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, like, if there's any positive, sort of silver lining, is that he goes through these types of slumps every year. In terms of, like, the results. I mean, I didn't look at the slumping in terms of the peripherals that we talked about. But in terms of the results, he went through a similar 15-game slump last year, 2018. Same deal. When he hits, like 100 for about, and slugs 100 for about 15 games. So I think as bad as we want to admit it, this is Gary. I mean, he is a pretty streaky guy. But when he gets on those hot streaks, man, it's awesome. And you just got to take the bad with the good, I guess.
Swing away, Gary, like signs. Joaquin Phoenix.
Wow.
All-time minor league strikeout king.
Yeah.
Signs. Katie, the next topic we have, I sent it to you and you were like, what about him? And then I kind of didn't know what to say, and I'm just interested in Voigt. His numbers are good right now. I think his OPS plus is like 130 something. 136 OPS plus, meaning he's 36% better than the average baseball player right now in the MLB. He's got an 854 OPS, meaning even compared, not even compared to the average player. He's just good comparatively across the generations and shit. But is this the same Luke Voit that we saw at the end of 2018 and the beginning of 2019? That was kind of my question. Like, he looks different. He's skinnier. He's got longer hair. I don't see him as that same beefed up hard part.
Urchella number 2 in the lineup.
There's Urchella number 2 in the lineup. Are these results that we're getting from Voigt? Is it the same hitter? That was kind of my question. Or is this a new version of Voigt?
It's a good question, and he's not quite the same hitter that he was in 2018 or when he just went on that tear, but he is much better than last year, and he's getting there. He's close, and he has a lot of good, I guess you'd say, peripheral stats in his favor. For one thing, when you look at his expected stats, they're actually higher than what his actual stats are. So I'm not going to say he's been unlucky, but his production should improve over, if he keeps this up over the course of the season. In terms
Meadows
of
robbed him. He's had some hard hit balls caught.
His expected slugging is actually 616. So that's about 100 points above his actual slugging. And even his expected batting average is about 50 points above his actual batting average. So I think that's one of the encouraging signs. The other thing is that he's hit, his barrel percentage is up, so he's hitting a lot more of those high value batted balls. And this one stat that I want to point out, which is actually a really good sign, is that his sweet spot percentage, which we just talked about earlier, is up. So it's about 52% this year compared to a 46% last year, or actually in 2018. So it's even better than 2018. And as I mentioned, the 52%, remember we talked about with Gary, it was at 23% this year. So that's the stark contrast between both of those. So he's making very good contact with the ball, and he's also swinging at pitches more in the zone this year. He has a 100% meatball swing percentage compared to Gary, and his swing percentage
that.
Yeah.
100's like where I want you to be there.
Yeah.
If you get a meatball, swing the damn bat. Well, it depends on what you're doing with it. Don't pop up a 3-0 pitch. That's annoying.
Right. But and his swing percentage on percentage on pitches in the zone this year is at 80%, which is up from about 75% last year, and 66% is the major league average. So this guy knows
80?
80%.
I think of him as taking pitches all the time. Wow.
Yeah, he does have, like, his overall swing percentage is not like very high, but he does recognize he swings at strikes, and he doesn't, he swings at a little bit more balls, pitches outside the zone than normal. But right now he seems to be really locked in, especially when he makes contact.
We are spoiled rotten. The fact that Gio Urchella and Luke Voit have become these bonus pieces that we kind of just mentioned casually. Luke Voit, so he has his 2018 year. He comes over from the Cardinals. We don't know what he is, and he went nuts. I think his OPS was closer to 1.1 than it was to 1.0. So we knew that wasn't real, but we wondered what it was. And what it was last year for the first 108 games was a 282 batting average, a 394 on base, and 893 OPS. Luke Voit then gets hurt, and his final, I'm trying to do Jakey Sharp stats, and I can't keep up with the Queen. I know you guys know that by now. Luke Voigt's final editing, producing, trying my best, not doing a good job. Luke Voigt's final 10 games where he has the hernia injury, he goes 1 for 32, an 031 batting average. That puts a slight damper on his season, especially that's when Mike Ford was in the I'm going to casually hit home runs whenever I want phase, which was a lot of fun. But healthy Luke Voit, which, I know I like to chop up stats a little bit, but he was very clearly hurt to the point he got an operation done. That was not the same guy. So the fact that we continue to kind of talk about Mike Ford, which is another conversation. I mean, he's kind of earning at bats in a way, but Voit has been a stud, and I love the meatball stat.
The meatball stat's my new favorite stat. I almost want to go when we interview players, say, do you know what your meatball stat is? And just see what they say.
I mean, I don't know about you. I'm biting my tongue because the one meatball stat or pitches in the strike zone, I'm curious about Hicks because he's the guy that we get mad at that it seems like he takes a lot of strikes, but I don't know how hard that number is to find.
Katie?
Yeah. Let's
what's Hicks's meatball stat? Because I thought Voigt's would have been
80% of Luke Voigt's pitches in the strike zone he's swinging at.
I thought it would have been lower.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear Hicksy's because that's two guys that seemingly have similar approaches. They're taking a lot of pitches. They're looking for the right one.
All right, where are we going? All right. Okay, we got meatballs. The Hicks meatball swing percentage.
Ford really hasn't been good enough to be taking at bats away from Voit, and I whisper that.
Sure. All right. So Hicks meatball swing percentage is 65%.
So that's meatballs.
There you go. Meatballs, 65%.
Okay, it's starting to make sense.
And Voigt's is 100?
The league average is 75%, so
okay.
That's not good.
What about swinging in the zone? Is that there, or is that a different page?
No, that's right there. His swing in the zone percentage is 59%. So again, below the league average of 66%, and we mentioned Luke Voit at 80%. So yeah, you can get pissed at Hicks if you want.
What was Hicks' swing in the zone? I missed it.
Hicks's swing in the zone was 59%.
59.
Everything adds up.
Those are down. If I'm looking at this correctly, those are down quite a bit from previous
down from
years.
last year.
Okay, so hopefully still a smaller sample, but interesting. Interesting.
I am right.
Matching up the stats
Swear
with the eye
I knew
test.
it all along. I am vindicated. A little dashboard confessionals for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Katie, what is your fun stat of the day?
All right, so this is actually, we're going to make this a little bit of a trivia question here for you.
Oh, boy.
So this is as of Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon. There is one Yankee that is ranked in the top 20 in hard hit rate and average exit velocity. So you guys both know what those are, obviously.
Yeah.
Our listeners do too.
We're good on
Hard
that.
hit rate is the percentage of batted balls above 95 miles per hour with an exit velocity of above 95 miles per hour, and average exit velocity, obviously, self-explanatory there. One Yankee is in the top 20 of both of those categories.
I'm between two guys.
Let's go.
Dream.
The dream.
Wait, so they just hit the ball hard and far?
No, not far, just hard. And they hit it consistently hard, too.
They're hitting it consistently
because that's the percentage.
hard.
That's the percentage part, the rate, and then the average.
So oddly enough, I did not have Judge in this, which makes me think that's part of Katie's trick, but maybe that's only half of Katie's trick.
Is it 2 guys we're looking for or 1?
One guy. One guy is in the top 20 of the major leagues in both of those.
Not Judge?
Gio Urchella.
Oh, I like your answer a lot. I was going to say Brett Gardner because I just thought Katie might be really tricking us. So I'm going Gardy. How could it not be Judge? Who is it?
My other option was LeMahieu.
Jake does not suck.
Now we've named 4 of 9 guys.
The winner. Jake is the winner. Jake does not suck.
Who is it? Gio?
It is Gio. It is Gio. Yep. That was pretty surprising.
He's nuts, man.
But
that's funny that Judge is
he's locked in. Yeah, he's locked in right now.
And again, he's just been casually batting 7th while we get caught up in our Glaber slump and Gary slump, and meanwhile he's also doing witchcraft and wizardry at third base.
Exactly.
He's awesome.
171 OPS plus right now. 71% better than the average baseball player.
And that's just on offense.
393 on base percentage.
The defensive.
313 batting average. What the hell?
All the scouts thought he was going to be a defensive specialist if he made it.
Oh,
he
is. He's good at that too. Holy smokes.
That's nuts.
That
Katie
is
Sharp stat of the day. I'm glad you remember that, Katie. I enjoyed that segment.
Do you have a Jakey's butter knife of the day?
I do not. I'll start digging. I'm now got enough data where I can start doing that.
Okay.
Katie Sharp, I mean, if there's any of the Yankees notes we need to close, it's now been on my mind for a little over an hour. Last week we asked you one of the odder questions that's come up on Talkin' Yanks, linked to Laughs from the Past, our history podcast, about seals cuffing enemy divers or something along those lines. And your husband, Captain Mike, did I address
Captain
him?
Sharp. Have
Captain
some
Sharp.
respect.
Excuse me.
Michael Sharp.
Captain Michael Sharp. Sorry, sir. Thank you, sir.
Captain Michael Sharp.
Captain Michael Sharp. You asked for information on this, and I am so curious and need to know.
Okay, well, I did ask the captain for all of his knowledge on this topic, and you guys got it almost correctly. Almost right.
Okay. I'll always take that answer.
They're actually sea lions, not seals.
Okay.
And what they are is they're bomb sniffing sea lions. So they send the sea lions down underneath, down to the bottom of the ocean to sniff out bombs, to make sure that it's okay for the submarines and the ships to go on that path. And if they smell the bombs, they see the bombs or whatever the sea lions do underneath the ocean, then they know that they have to either try and defuse it or just go in a different direction. So they're bomb sniffing sea lions, and it's actually and yes, it was used in Bahrain and in the Middle East for a while. Then it was used, I think, more sort of in Asia and off the coast of California, but it's not currently. He doesn't think it's currently a program right now, an active program. Certainly is not in Bahrain, because he would know about that. But yes, it did exist. I think it was in the early 2000s. He said it was pretty prevalent, but they may have more sophisticated means. But it's something you can look it up on the internet. It's like marine mammal something. I can't read. Actually, probably should have written it down. But
that sounds more logical to me than handcuffing
marine mammal
humans.
program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I buy it.
Okay.
Bomb sniffing sea lions.
Yeah, if dogs, you get sea lions to do it. Okay, I'm in on that.
Probably maybe if you're...
Was he alarmed when you asked that question?
I don't know if alarmed. He did laugh. So
Okay.
You got a laugh from him.
Yes.
And he did know about it kind of when I asked him. He kind of was like, oh, let me, I remember that. Let me just look up something, quickly. So it was in his memory, but he had never been a part of the program or anything like that. So he doesn't know the actual, details, or he'd never been on a ship where it occurred.
Okay.
But he did know it existed.
Okay.
Well,
bomb sniffing sea lions.
One-stop shopping on Talkin' Yanks Sharp Stats today. Jonathan Holder, Paxton update, Luke Voit, Gary Struggles, and sea lions Bomb-sniffing sea lions. Didn't think I'd ever say that sentence.
Meatball stats.
Meatball stats, the best.
I'm pretty into the meatball stat. You're going to need to show me where I can find that. I'm going to go rip on some guys.
BBD says he's got it.
You got it? I mean, I want to show me the guy with the lowest meatball swing, and I just want to tweet at him and be like, you're a fool.
Oh, no.
We've given him too much. Gary right now.
Okay. Well, I'll tweet at the second lowest guy.
Then the second guy.
Second lowest guy. All right. Thank you very much, Katie. Awesome. Wonderful knowledge. As always, we're making Yankee fans smarter, which is a good thing.
Part of the goal here.
Perfect. Enjoy the game tonight.
Tweet at Katie. Thank you.
Goodbye.
All right. See you guys.
Go Yankees.